Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, children of all ages, freaks and geeks, trolls and derps alike, welcome, welcome all. I am Mullet Mike, bringing you Season 4 of Creepy Gaming. That's right, folks, this is the show where I let you, the subscribers and creepy community, in on a ton of creepy aspects throughout video game history. Now, I'm not going to lie to you guys, a lot of craziness has been going on since Season 3. I mean, I've had electronics turn on and off on their own, been hearing voices late at night. Ratman decided to move into my attic. Keep it down! Come on! Got kids sleeping in there! I've been speaking in overused cliche movie quotes. I mean, dogs and cats living together, mass hysteria!
Puzzle library.
Okay, let's see what we got here. What is it now? Is this Robbie the Rabbit? Wait a minute. Robbie the Rabbit's not even in the first Silent Hill game. You mean to tell me, out of all the devilish creatures in Silent Hill, from the Grey Children to Baphomet to Samael, the almighty demon, this is what we get stuck with?
It's in the budget.
Oh, it's in the budget. We have a budget? Okay, so just in case you haven't figured it out, today we will be covering Silent Hill for the PlayStation 1. Now, I thought long and hard about what game I wanted to start Season 4 with, and I had to pick Silent Hill for a couple of different reasons. Mainly because I just have a genuine love for it. I mean, this game is genuinely creepy. This is one of the few games that I can say has actually scared me on a personal and psychological level. And that's saying something. I would like to give a special shout out to all these fine folks right here. I want to thank you all so much for your suggestions. Without you, this show is nothing. So thank you for those suggestions. So, without further ado, been waiting a long time to say it. Turn the lights down and the volume up as we journey into some creepy gaming. Here we go again. Silent Hill is a fictional New England town where the light meets the dark, where dimensions collide and the gates of hell open, where nightmares manifest into reality. Witches, cults, demonic figures. This is what lies in Silent Hill. The Silent Hill series has been haunting players' dreams for the past 15 years now. Most recently with 2012's Silent Hill Downpour. The series draws heavy inspiration from classic Japanese horror. As a matter of fact, it introduced me to the genre. Personally speaking, Silent Hill is one of the creepiest video game series I have ever played. These games genuinely scare me. And if you've been following me for the last few seasons, then you know I don't say that about every game. The Silent Hill franchise has to be my favorite intentionally scary video game series of all time. Now, because there's a lot going on in these games, it's best to tackle them one at a time. So today we will be focusing on the first Silent Hill, and I might cover the others sometime down the road. I'm going to try my best to keep this season opener spoiler free. Now there might be a few minor ones here or there, but I will not be focusing on the main story or plot, rather just what makes the game so creepy. In the late 90s, the survival horror genre went mainstream with the release of Resident Evil. The genre had been around for a while with games like Clock Tower, but Resident Evil made it popular again and brought it to a new generation of gamers. In the wake of its release came a plethora of games, one of which being Silent Hill. This disturbing title was released by Konami in 1999 for the original PlayStation. Often mistakenly compared to Resident Evil, this game proved to be something completely different. For example, Silent Hill puts you in the shoes of Harry Mason, just your average Joe anybody. He's not a hitman, he's not a ninja, he's not a trained SWAT member, he's not a space marine, he's just a guy looking for his daughter. The game itself focuses less on combat and more on the experience of the psychological thrill. Players first got their chance to visit Silent Hill in 1998 when a demo disc was included with Metal Gear Solid. Through the opening cinematic, we are introduced to Harry and his daughter Cheryl. We don't have much backstory on them, but we don't need it. The message comes across clear. Harry being a good father who loves and appreciates his daughter Cheryl. We see the two late at night. Harry's driving and Cheryl sleeps. He soon notices a police motorcycle pass, only to find that same vehicle wrecked down the road. It is then a strange figure walks into the vehicle's path. Harry panics and tries to swerve to avoid the figure, wrecking his Jeep in the process. When he comes to, Harry finds that his daughter is missing. Boom! Now that's how you start a game! We need more of that. Immediately, we are intrigued and want to find out exactly what is going on. I cannot begin to praise this game enough, but what is it about Silent Hill that makes it stand out against the rest? Well, it's not just one factor, but many. We've already got solid characters, so let's move on to the setting. The town of Silent Hill is such a powerful setting, it could almost be credited as a character in and of itself. When Harry awakes and finds Cheryl missing, he has no choice but to look for her. When he escapes his crashed vehicle, he finds himself in the abandoned, foggy town of Silent Hill. The developers were really clever, using fog and at times the darkness to hide the draw distance. Konami and Team Silent knew how to make the best of the limited hardware they were using. As you explore Silent Hill, you will find the town appears abandoned. There are no NPCs, no moving vehicles, nothing. The game does a great job of making you feel alone. You soon discover as you journey through the sleepy little town that entire roadways have been destroyed and that your path is more linear than you may think. It's almost like someone is guiding you, like they're trying to show you something. From here on out, you guide Harry through the town, stumbling onto strange occurrences, encountering demonic hellspawn, and even battling constantly shifting dimensions. You must solve the mysteries of Silent Hill by uncovering the town's dark past. The game itself has a few Easter eggs, some scary, others not so much. The irony lies in the fact that the game itself can be so scary that the creepy Easter eggs just kinda blend in. Silent Hill has a lot of references throughout the game. For example, the words "Red Rum" can be found written in blood on a garage door located on Block Street. Red rum is, of course, in reference to Stephen King's novel The Shining, probably more predominantly known from the film adaptation by Stanley Kubrick. It was there we learned that red rum was really just murder written backwards. Red rum! Red rum! Now, I'm praising the ever-loving hell out of this game, no pun intended, so to be fair, I need to talk about a few of the negative things. But honestly, I don't really have too many negative things to say about the game. It was a pretty positive experience for me for the most part. But one thing I need to explain is the controls. Silent Hill uses what is called tank controls, much like the original Resident Evil games. No matter where you are on the screen, pressing up on the D-pad always makes your character move forward. You must rotate your character in the direction you want to go, then press up on the D-pad to move forward. Hence the name Tank Controls. Not too good for a survival horror game where you have to fight or flight. As far as the creepiness goes, this game is full of it. One thing I really respect about the Silent Hill franchise is they don't rely too heavily on jump scares. Yes, there are plenty in the game, but it's not the title's main focus. Silent Hill brings several types of scares. There are subtle psychological thrills, loud jump scares, blood, guts, and gore, you name it, Silent Hill's got it. Here's a good example of psychological horror. Close to the beginning of the game, when you experience the other world for the first time, you end up getting trapped in a back alley. This is what happens next.
What is this? What's going on here?
Rather than building the suspense and delivering a typical jump scare, Silent Hill brings something completely different to the table. These enemies are known as the Gray Children, and they have haunted my dreams ever since. Rather than jumping out of the scream and going boo, these Gray Children slowly walk into frame. Between the amazingly creepy sound design and the panic one feels when trying to escape, this has to be one of the more memorable moments in creepy gaming history. I remember trying to fight these little guys. Little did I know that they were supposed to take you down. It was just part of the game. This was one of the many ways this title played with your head.
So have I mentioned how scary this game is yet? I mean, really, the Gray Children scene, I don't know what it was about that. There was something about, like I said, the lack of sound, or maybe it was the sound design itself. It slowly entered the frame, just kind of creep up on you. You're already panicking because you just have no idea what the controls. You're trying hardest to find them. I can't tell you how many times I've
killing me. They keep killing me. Little did I know, they're supposed to kill you. Go figure. It's just one of the many ways that this game just plays with your head.
Speaking of the Grey Child, the enemies in this game are intense. The first Silent Hill introduced us to air screamers, groaners, rompers, mumblers, and probably one of the most recognizable figures in the Silent Hill lore, second only to Pyramid Head, would be the Twisted Nurses. These deadly beauties are known for their twitchy, sudden movements, voluptuous bodies, along with their distorted, featureless faces. The game's monsters were designed by Masahiro Ito, who was part of Konami's Team Silent. So if you were ever haunted by the creatures of Silent Hill, you can thank Ito. Because of his creative input and unique style, Masahiro Ito's contributions were one of the game's many winning factors. That's a really good way to describe this game. It wasn't just one thing that made it so good. It was all these things working together as a team that made Silent Hill so memorable. One factor that many players agree couldn't have been replaced was the game's haunting score. Akira Yamaoka composed what many claim as some of the greatest video game music of all time. Yamaoka's music definitely added a new layer to Silent Hill. It can be described as creepy and at times beautiful and even manic. The eerie piano sets the tone perfectly for the quiet, foggy Silent Hill, and the industrial percussion-based themes make the other worlds sound even more menacing. If that's even possible. The original Silent Hill was praised by both players and critics alike. Several more installments have been released over the years. Some sequels weren't so great, but others, one in particular, could be considered a modern masterpiece. Silent Hill definitely made a great impression on me, personally. I will never forget my first time playing the game. I feel like it's burnt into my brain, like it's left an imprint on my soul. It was just so unique. Every working factor helped create a signature style so unique that it is still trying to be duplicated to this very day. Silent Hill set the standard for modern survival horror. With its strong characters, incredible setting, haunting music, and nightmare-inducing visuals, Silent Hill will forever hold a special place in creepy gaming history.
So there you have it. That's Silent Hill in a nutshell. Well, kinda. I don't think anyone could ever really fully explain Silent Hill. It's a very, very difficult task. But overall, it's a great game. I didn't want to get too spoilerish. I didn't want to give away the entire plot of the game. But those are just a few of the creepy aspects that's really genuinely scared me over the years. Now I'm going to go back to more creepypastas and scary Easter eggs. So I just want to give a good old-fashioned scary video game review. So there's your Season 4 opener. I told you I was going to be back. Until next time, folks, I am Mullet Mike with paddle in full screen saying, sticky, stay creepy. Thanks for watching. Peace. It's a good show. I mean, it's pretty good. Workout? Don't work out for you guys?
Hey,
Yeah, what's up?
where's the rabbit?
The rabbit. What rabbit? It's up there.
I got a bad feeling, man.
Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, children of all ages, freaks and geeks, trolls and derps alike, welcome. Welcome all. I am Mullet Mike with paddle and full screen, bringing you another episode of Creepy Gaming. This is the show where we take a look at all kinds of creepy aspects throughout video game history, but you probably already know that. Now, last season, I covered a game entitled Batman Arkham Asylum. Now, you all know my love for Batman, and don't worry, I'm not going to get into that rant again. But ever since I did this episode, everybody's been requesting Arkham City. A special shout out to all these fine folks right here. Thank you all so much, because without you, there would be no creepy gaming. So keep those suggestions coming, and keep them So, without further ado, turn the lights down and the volume up as we journey into some Arkham City. After the surprise success of Rocksteady's Arkham Asylum, an already planned sequel was announced. The first Arkham game removed the stigma that surrounded superhero games up until that time. This one was actually, dare I say, good? Rather than limiting themselves to a movie license, which they easily could have done at the time, the Arkham series took Batman back to his darker comic book roots. Arkham Asylum featured great gameplay mechanics that actually made you feel like Batman. Plus, you had Kevin Conroy and Mark Hamill respectively returning to voice their famous roles. The game was visually striking and, not to mention, had its fair share of creepiness. But enough about Arkham Asylum. I made a two-part episode where I praised the ever-loving hell out of that game, so be sure to refer back to those videos if you want to hear my thoughts about that. As far as the sequel goes, Arkham City was released in 2011 for the PS3, Xbox 360, and PC. The game was developed by the aforementioned Rocksteady Studios and was published by Warner Bros. Interactive. Arkham City was the perfect example of a great sequel by keeping the elements of the game that were successful the first time around and adding new content to the overall gameplay experience. The awesome combat system remained, now with the addition of an open-world Gotham for the most part, as well as the new gliding system. It kept what made the first game so great, but yet expanded it at the same time. Many felt that the third in this series, Arkham Origins, didn't necessarily follow this formula. The game felt more like an expansive Arkham City DLC add-on, although the game was developed by a different studio. But that's just my opinion. And I digress. We are here to discuss the creepy Easter eggs of Batman Arkham City. Again, referring back to my episode covering Arkham Asylum, there we were introduced to the king of the nightmare fuel himself, the Scarecrow, also known as Dr. Jonathan Crane. I've always felt that the Scarecrow was a great adversary for the Dark Knight. I mean, if you think about it, Batman fights crime using fear. The Scarecrow uses fear toxins to make you visualize your greatest fears. What a perfect match! I mean, there's just so much potential and so many directions you can go with that. The last time we've seen the Scarecrow, he was carried off by Killer Croc. Unless you saw one of the secret endings. Arkham Asylum featured 3 after-credits scenes. All 3 featured a hand rising up out of the water grabbing an unopened crate of Titan. One ending is Bane's hand, another is Killer Croc's, and last but not least, the Scarecrow himself. Scarecrow. Alright, enough of that. He's not the main antagonist in Arkham City, although I've heard he's supposed to be in Arkham Knight, but he does make his presence known in this game. His mask can be found atop of a city bridge, lying in a haystack. This is a clue to one of the Riddler's challenges. In the Riddler's third hostage room, you will find containers of the dangerous fear toxin itself. As a matter of fact, there's all kinds of villain Easter eggs throughout this game. The creepiest Scarecrow moment in Arkham City, though, has to be the jump scare Easter egg on Scarecrow's boat. Gotham Bay houses several ships and vessels. Located underneath the drawbridge that takes you to the steel mill, you will discover the Scarecrow's boat. With the cryptographic sequencer, you can unlock the boat's hatch with the password, City of Terror. This is what happens once inside. In the last part, we discussed the Scarecrow making his presence known in Arkham City. We will now focus our attention on another creepy Batman villain, Jervis Tetch, also known as the Mad Hatter. This character is obviously based on the Mad Hatter from Lewis Carroll's books Alice's Adventures in Wonderland and Through the Looking Glass. This Hatter, though, tends to be a little more malicious compared to his counterpart. This Mad Hatter uses mind control on unwilling victims. Very much in the same vein of the Scarecrow hallucinations from the previous game, the Mad Hatter stages are just weird. Just good old-fashioned WTF sauce. Okay, minor spoilers. It's okay, I'll give you a minute. Alright, you ready? At one point in the game, Batman is in search of a cure for the Joker's sick trap. Apparently, the Cape Crusader has been infected with the same life-threatening virus that courses through the Joker's very veins. Batman eventually finds and injects himself with the supposed cure. Batman soon passes out, only to wake and find himself sitting at the Mad Hatter's table. Now that is a tea party I want no part of. As a matter of fact, I don't want part of any tea party now that I'm thinking about it. Batman finds himself strapped to his chair, surrounded by the Hatter's thugs, all of which are wearing these really creepy rabbit masks. It reminds me of like the Wyatt family. Sorry, I had to die. You'll soon discover that the quote-unquote cure was actually a hypnotic chemical that the Dark Knight was tricked into taking. The Hatter then uses a unique mask and attempts to control the Batman. The mask itself is in reference to the Jabberwocky from the Batman animated series episode Mad as a Hatter. It should come as no surprise since the same writers of the animated series also wrote the first two Arkham games. And yes, just in case you're wondering, I know the Jabberwocky didn't originate from the Batman episode rather than Lewis Carroll's Alice in Wonderland and Through the Looking Glass. Either way, this part of the game freaked me out. It's just more disturbing than anything. When you put a distorted twist on a childhood favorite like Alice in Wonderland, which is already twisted enough, it just makes it that much creepier. The Jabberwocky mask was just a nice little freaky touch. Once the dangerous chemical takes effect, Batman is subjected to various hallucinations, one of which is like a challenge map where you must fight wave after wave of the Hatter's thugs until you finally face the Mad Hatter himself.
Bye.
Again, like the last game, it's going to take a lot more than some creepy hallucination to stop the Batman. When you come to, you'll notice all the Hatter's henchmen just laid out. Batman is a boss. When will you get it? Batman has always been a dark character, so it's natural to expect some disturbing content from the Batman universe. But I'll admit, even I wasn't expecting the creepiness of these games. Kudos to Rocksteady Studios for their work on the Arkham series. I like how they portrayed the Scarecrow and the Hatter. To me, they are just genuinely creepy characters. They give you that really uneasy feeling, you know? Out of all the Arkham titles, Arkham City has to be my favorite. I like the tone, the open world of an old city far from its former glory. I really enjoyed the story and characters, especially Catwoman, if you know what I mean. Huh? Catwoman? Huh? Yeah. But seriously though, she's hot. Now let me remind you that Arkham Knight has not been released as of the making of this video. So who knows? That may be my new favorite of the series. We'll just have to see. Either way, I'm looking forward to Rocksteady's triumphant return to the Arkham franchise. Who knows what scares we'll be in for? We'll just have to wait and see. As far as 2011's Arkham City goes, major props for the game's disturbing nature. My hat's off to you, sirs. Get it? My hat? Because it's the Mad Hatter? Okay, I'll shut up now. Because of the Scarecrow's and Hatter's creepy contributions, Arkham City will forever go down in creepy gaming history. Arkham City came complete with plenty of creepiness, ranging from Scarecrow's Easter egg all the way to the Mad Hatter's hallucinations. I'm sorry, I know I'm a biased Batman fan, but this game definitely goes down in creepy gaming history. I will accept no other choice but that, sir. No other choice. Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, children of all ages, freaks and geeks, trolls and derps alike, welcome all. I am Mullet Mike. As you can see right now, I am at SGC! Woo! Bringing you an all-new creepy gaming. I'll be returning to the creepy gaming room next time, so we'll see you then. Got a really special episode for you today. You're not going to want to miss out. Without any further ado, let's just cut right into it. Let's just get right in the meat and potatoes of it. Turn the lights down and the volume up as we journey on this creepy gaming. Being at SGC this year definitely revitalized my love for retro games. That being said, I have recently been revisiting games from the Mario series, but not Super Mario World or Mario Brothers 3. No. Been there, done that. I'm sure we've all played those games hundreds of times. I wanted to play a more obscure Mario game. And trust me when I say you don't get much more obscure than Hotel Mario. As I'm sure some of you may know, back in the early 90s, Nintendo was working on a deal with Sony to produce a CD-based gaming console. Pfft, you mean a console that plays CDs instead of cartridges? Ha! It'll never work! Ultimately, the deal with Sony fell through, causing Nintendo to team up with Philips to create the Philips CDI. It's okay though, because we all know how that worked out for Sony. As part of the deal, Nintendo licensed their characters out to Philips to use. thus resulting in what I like to refer to as the bastard Zelda games, as well as Hotel Mario. The game was released in 1994 and was more of a puzzle game rather than the side-scrolling classics that we expected from the series. Apparently, Bowser attempts to once again take over the Mushroom Kingdom. He's got a foolproof plan this time, guys. Get this. Do you know what he's going to do to stop the Mario Brothers this time? Huh? Do you know what he's going to do to stop them? Get this. Are you ready? Are you ready for this? Hotels. That's right, hotels. Bowser, you evil genius, you. Yeah, I can't imagine why this game never took off. Hotel Mario is known for these infamous cutscenes of a poorly animated Mario, Luigi, Princess, and Bowser. Not just that, but take a listen to Mario's voice work.
If you need instructions on how to get through the hotels, check out the enclosed instruction book.
I need a drink.
In all fairness, this was at least a year before Chris Martinet was brought on to voice Mario. He has been providing Mario's voice ever since. This voice just makes me feel sad inside.
Nice of the princess to invite us over for a picnic.
Well, believe it or not, guys, it gets creepier. Over a decade after the game's release, a story sprung up online, along with a correlating video. No one expected to witness such a grotesque, grisly scene from a Mario game. According to this creepypasta, an individual was going through the game's source code when they discovered a secret level entitled The 13th Hotel. When playing it on an emulator, a disturbing cutscene surfaced. I'm about to play for you that very same cutscene. Be warned, this video contains some disturbing content and is intended for mature audiences. It's okay, just prepare yourselves, you're gonna need to for this clip.
Gotta get all loosey-goosey. Gotta get all loosey-goosey.
This particular video surfaced on the internet a few years ago. Now, whether or not it is the actual video or just a recreation is debatable. The video appears to be edited. I mean, come on, you can see Mario's eyelashes. And I'm sorry, is that Gygus static? Either way, through all of my nitpicking, Mario the 13th Hotel makes for some good creepy gaming. Believe it or not, I can't believe I'm gonna say this, I really kind of enjoy this creepypasta. It's short, sweet, and to the point. The video contains some disturbing imagery as well as some really scary sound design. It doesn't go too far off the deep end. It feels like something that could actually happen. The gore and demonic voices definitely add to the story. The subliminal messages such as "help me" leaves the viewer feeling disturbed and uneasy. Combine all this with the family-friendly Mario and you have yourself a nice slice of ruined childhood. Whether it's true or not, I don't know, I doubt it. I'm not here to debate that. It's a great form of entertainment, and because of that, Hotel Mario, the 13th Hotel, will forever go down in creepy gaming history.
So there you have it, folks. I want to thank you all so much for joining me today. I hope you enjoyed. I am Mullet Mike with a panel in full screen saying stay creepy. Thanks for watching. Peace. Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, children of all ages, freaks and geeks, trolls and derps alike. Welcome, welcome all. I am Mullet Mike with the Sticky Paddle Gaming Network and Full Screen, bringing you creepy gaming. Allow me to take you back a little bit. In Season 1, I covered none other than Sonic CD. Granted, the quality of the episode wasn't the best, but still a classic. Fast forward a little bit into Season 3 and I covered Tails Doll. Shortly thereafter, I covered none other than Sonic EXE. Which begs me to ask the question, what is it about Sonic games? What is it that makes them so creepy? What is it about this blue furry hedgehog that just epitomizes the fear of all gamers around the world? Well, I'm sure much like Mario, Sonic is a childhood figure. Most of us gamers grew up playing Sonic the Hedgehog games, so maybe that's why it attacks our childhoods right in the heart. Which brings me to today. We'll be covering Sally.exe. Special shout out to all these fine folks right here. You must really hate me, guys. Thanks for your suggestions and thanks for the support. So without any further ado, let's just get this over with. Let's just dive right into it. Turn the lights down and the volume up as we journey into some creepy gaming.
Sally.exe is the unofficial follow-up to the well-renowned Sonic.exe. From what I've heard, there is actually an official sequel written by the original author, but I've received tons of requests to cover Sally, so that's what we'll be doing today. For those unaware, the name Sally.exe comes from the supporting Sonic character Sally Acorn. She made her first appearance in the Sonic the Hedgehog comic book miniseries in 1993. She has been a mainstay ever since. Sally has since appeared in comics, games, and television shows. The creepypasta itself is about a Sonic fan who is searching eBay for Sally memorabilia. Since the creepypasta never states his name, let's just use a typical placeholder name. I don't know, like Elvis. So Elvis was on eBay and found a listing for a Sally plushie. It was then he noticed that God was written on the doll's jacket.
Here we go again! Off to just a roaring start, aren't we? Why does every cliched creepypasta out there have to rely on some stupid plushie? I mean, how unoriginal do you have to be to rely on some stuffed animal to cause all your Oh, right.
While continuing to browse, Elvis then noticed another listing. This one was for the Sat-Am Sonic series. The listing appeared too good to be true, featuring all episodes, priced only at $1, with free shipping. Elvis looked at the item's photos and noticed it was just a blank disc, but because of the great deal, he couldn't pass it up. Strangely, the package was delivered the very next day. And even stranger, it was Sunday.
Because creepy, that's why.
Elvis proceeded to place the disc into his laptop, anticipating some classic Sonic cartoons, but nothing happened. He opened the files and noticed an EXE program named Sally. Of course, he opened the application, because what's the worst that could possibly happen? Upon opening the file, he noticed it was a Sonic episode from the Sat-Am series known as Hooked on Sonics. Everything seemed normal enough. That is, until one particular scene. Early in the episode, Sally rewards Sonic with a kiss on the cheek. It was at this moment that his computer suddenly crashed. He then rebooted his PC and went about his day. It wasn't until Elvis started watching YouTube that more strange occurrences began to happen. He then claimed that his mouse cursor began to move around sporadically, ignoring all that had happened because what would possibly make you think something was wrong? He then downloaded a Sonic the Hedgehog ROM. He would have never imagined what would happen once he started the game. This is what he saw.
Oh, it's over? Oh,
Well, that wasn't so bad. As you may have noticed while playing, the ROM mysteriously switched over to the part of the Sonic episode that it originally froze on earlier. Out of the corner of his eye, Elvis then saw a Sally plushie with missing eyes. This concludes Sally.exe. Now, before I give my thoughts on the creepypasta, allow me to talk about the footage you've just seen. This was a recreation ROM by Crimson the Bat, the same guy who made the Sonic.exe recreation. There will actually be a link in the description if you want to check it out for yourself. In my opinion, the ROM itself is actually pretty good. It's definitely an improvement from the Sonic.exe recreation. The sprites look great, the title screens were on point. There were only a few minor differences between the ROM and the creepypasta that I could think of. Overall, well done. Now, on to the creepypasta. In all fairness though, I can cut this creepypasta a little slack, mainly because it's a sequel, official or not. Being a follow-up, it needs to retain a little of what made the first so popular. I'm not saying it should be an exact carbon copy of the first one, but since the first was full of cliches, I've got to be a little more forgiving that this one is too. So there you have it. That's Sally.exe. Definitely not the best creepypasta in the world, but at the same time, definitely not the worst either. Something tells me that Sonic the Hedgehog and all of his reoccurring cast of characters will forever hold a place in creepy gaming history. I'd like to thank you all for watching. I hope you enjoyed. I am Mullet Mike with the pedal and full screen saying, keep stay creepy. Thanks for watching. Peace. I guess the best way I can describe Majora's Mask is if Ocarina of Time and LSD Dream Emulator had a bastard alien rape baby of a son. That son's name would be Majora's Mask. So yeah. Huh. Is that it? Is that all the creepy stuff? Seems like I'm forgetting something. It's time. On September 7th, 2010, a strange story appeared on the internet. A disturbing tale that changed the way we looked at The Legend of Zelda forever. A user by the screen name JadUsable posted on a 4chan thread detailing his experiences of what he described as a haunted video game cartridge. He claimed that he received the cartridge from an old man. The card itself was missing a label and the word Majora was scribbled on it with a black marker. When asked how much, the old half-blind man replied, "Free." He said it used to belong to a kid that didn't live here anymore. As JadUsable left, he thought the old man said goodbye then. But upon reevaluation, he questioned if he had really said goodbye then. Once he got home and started the game, JadUsable noticed a pre-existing save file. The name on that file was Ben. Not thinking anything of it, he then proceeded to create new save data in slot 2. As he played, he noticed that the game's NPCs would still at times refer to him as Ben. After beating the Woodfall Temple, JadUsable decided to save his game, restart, and ultimately delete the bin file, hoping to solve the problem. He then tried again, but the NPCs didn't call him anything. There was only a blank space where his name should have been. It wasn't until the next night JadUsable continued by picking up where he left off. It was at this time he attempted what is known as the fourth day glitch. Basically, it's an exploited glitch where you can gain an extra day's worth of time in-game. It is believed that this, along with the deletion of the bin save file, were the major catalyst to the strange occurrences that Jad Usable would soon experience. No one would have guessed as to what would happen next. Unless you've read the creepypasta, then you probably know. He noticed text displayed incorrectly, textures were missing, and probably the strangest of all, the Song of Healing could be heard being played backwards. Shortly thereafter, he decided to start capturing the gameplay to document his experiences. He began uploading the videos to YouTube as he sought the advice of fellow gamers. I will now play for you, in their entirety, the videos posted on his channel chronicling his strange tale. Stay with me because once they're over, I will conclude the story itself, followed by my thoughts, theories, and opinions on the creepypasta. Typically, I narrate or film reactions to the footage, but this time I want to present to you the full, unedited versions as Jad Usable originally envisioned. This is the Ben Drown Saga.
Watch out!
After the fourth video, Jed Usable's roommate claimed that he had moved out. But before he did, he gave his roommate a flash drive. It contained the final video, free.wmv, and a text document entitled thetruth.txt. Jed Usable instructed him not to release these videos until September 15, 2010 at 11:04 p.m. The text file was eventually released on Mediafire. He claimed that Ben began to haunt his PC and would try to communicate with him through Cleverbot. He warned that no one should believe anything coming from his YouTube account after the date of September 12, 2010. It wasn't long after Jed Usable's YouTube channel began to eerily change. His profile image turned into an Elegy of Emptiness statue painting, and his new location stated, "Now I am everywhere." This concludes the story of the Haunted Majora's Mask cartridge. Overall, Ben Drowned has to be one of my favorite all-time creepypastas. I know that might sound strange coming from me, but I really enjoy it. Even though it uses so many of the same tropes used in various video game creepypastas, you must remember that Ben Drowned was one of the first. And not one of the first ever written, but one of the first to break out and reach so many readers. Not just that, but to me personally, the story of Ben has much more substance than your typical creepypasta. For example, a lot of video game creepypastas revolve around a video game character, typically breaking the fourth wall, interacting with a player, to ultimately manifest itself as some type of demonic figure, typically resulting in said player's death. Even though that may sound similar to Ben Drowned, the story of Ben brings more to the table. Rather than a demonic entity, Ben was actually a boy or young man. Once he died, and I'm just gonna go out on a limb here and say that he drowned, but once he died, his spirit inhabited his favorite video game. Jed Usable doesn't die at the end of this story, rather mysteriously disappears. Instead of being a video game character breaking the fourth wall, Ben presents himself as the Link statue. And rather than the entity manifesting himself, Ben used technology to free himself through Jed Usable. Typically, in cliché creepypastas, the player's motivations never transcend to the reader. It just doesn't make sense as to why they would continue to play, whereas in this story, Jed Usable comes across as curious or even sympathetic towards Ben. To me, and I may be looking into this too much, but there seems to be an underlining theme to this story. Curiosity killed the cat. Now, I constantly get the question asking me if this creepypasta is real. Before I answer that, I am going to say this right here, right now, and I will not address this again in future videos. Creepypastas are not real. I know that might take a little of the fun or scare factor out of the equation, but I repeat, creepypastas are not real. There have been recent attacks and tragedies all in the name of creepypastas. This is just sad, and the flame does not need to be fed. Creepypastas are here for our entertainment. It's just like a scary movie. You know it's not real, but that shouldn't take away from it. The same can be said for both movies and creepypastas. It's the fear that something similar could happen to you. That's what makes it so effective. So no, Ben Drowned is not real. Jed Usable is actually Alex Hall, a writer and filmmaker. The footage posted was a programmed ROM hack and has since become its own game. Alex wrote the story while in college. In my opinion, it was a really clever move to declare not to trust anything posted on his channel after that particular date. It kept the legend alive and made people question the truth. Now, how do I know all of this for certain? Well, I have been fortunate enough to speak with Alex on a number of occasions. He's a real nice guy with a good sense of humor, and he enjoys doing charitable work.
You could even go as far as saying that we are friends.
Mullet Mike, the Sticky Paddle, and you're a bastard.
See?
Either way, we are here to celebrate the story of Ben Drowned. Jed Usable himself, Alex Hall, arguably wrote the most well-renowned video game creepypasta of all time. You can't help but think that the creepy community wouldn't be what it is today if it weren't first for the Haunted Majora's Mask creepypasta. If anything, let this be inspiration to all up-and-coming horror writers, or any kind of writer for that matter. If you have a good idea, follow through with it. You never know, you might just write the next binge round creepypasta.
Between the game's creepy aspects and the binge round creepypasta, I think it is a safe assumption to say that Majora's Mask will forever go down in creepy gaming history. I think that's going to do it for me today, folks. I'd like to thank the creepy community and sticky subscribers for all your support. It means more to me than you know. I'm not above begging for likes and favors, so if you enjoyed this video, please be sure to like and favorite for more creepy gaming. Like us on Facebook and follow us on Twitter, and be sure to check out these.com. Be sure to subscribe to my Mullet Mike channel and follow me on Twitch for some more horror Let's Plays. I think that's going to do it for me today, folks. I want to thank you all so much again. Hi, Mullet Mike with a in full screen saying, keep stay creepy. Thanks for watching. Peace. Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, children of all ages, freaks and geeks, trolls and derps alike, welcome all. I am Mullet Mike, bringing you creepy gaming. Well, it's October, which means it's my favorite time of year. It's time for scary movies, it's time for a lot of Halloween candy, and of course, more creepy gaming. 'Tis the season in which we infatuate ourselves with demons and ghouls and goblins and ghosts, zombies, and even witches, which in my opinion is sadly underused in video games. Which brings me to today. We will be talking about none other than the game Daylight. Shout out to all these fine folks right here. Thank you all so much for all your support. If you have a suggestion for creepy gaming, then let me know in the comments below. So, without further ado, turn the lights down and the volume up as we journey into some creepy gaming.
Daylight was released in the spring of 2014 for the PlayStation 4 and PC. The game was developed by Zombie Studios and consists of a number of innovative features. This title is said to be one of the first games ever to be powered by Unreal Engine 4. The levels are randomly generated, and the game even features the option to host an interactive live stream. For your entertainment, I subjected myself to just that. For the most part, I'd say it went pretty well. No! Damn you! Damn you all, you ugly... I'll talk more about the interactive aspects of the live stream later on, but first, let me start by telling you a little bit about the backstory. You play as Sarah, a woman who wakes up in an old abandoned hospital without remembering how she got there. You must venture out through the hospital, connecting prison and surrounding areas. Equipped only with the smartphone glow sticks and flares, this game takes it back to classic survival horror. You must collect notes and significant items a la Outlast or Slender while dodging shadow people, witches, and demonic creatures. What makes this game stand out, though, is the claustrophobic maze-like levels are randomly generated, making every time you play its own unique experience. To me, it just makes the game that much more intimidating. If you replay a horror game, you typically grow familiar with the level layout, jump scares, and even the survival essentials. But with Daylight, you never know what's around the corner. I've noticed more and more horror games going in this direction here as of late. Procedurally generated games tend to add an element of surprise and give the title more replay value. But there are some downsides as well. You tend to see some of the same objects over and over. Even specific areas tend to repeat themselves, adding an unnecessary level of confusion. It's a little more understandable in a game like this though, where the disorientation just adds to the overall horror experience. I guess it just depends on how you look at it. Throughout the game, you learn more and more about the hospital's disturbing past by finding these particular remnants. These remnants can be notes found literally anywhere. Clues to their locations can be easily found when using a glow stick. Once you collect all the remnants in the level, you must then find a sigil, which basically is a significant item from the hospital's dark past. This game is so scary that even the sigils are just a bunch of creepy items like a book or a pair of rusty clippers or even a teddy bear.
Wait a minute, I can handle this. I'm a former member of the Midnight Society. Dealt with a lot of creepy items in my days. I can handle it. You know, unless it's like a creepy doll or something.
There is no escape.
Oh, I fucking hate dolls. Oh, look at the head bobbling back and forth. I should have known it was gonna be a fucking doll. No. Oh my god, that is the most terrifying thing I've seen yet. Oh, look at the. Oh god. Where the fuck is this exit at? Each level has what is known as the Seal of Shadows, which is basically a room filled with these creepy glowing glyphs. Bringing the sigil to the Seal of Shadows will progress you to the next level and eventually to the end of this hellish nightmare. Oh, there it is. There's the end of the level. Get to the end of the level. No. Take the doll. Take the damn doll. Alright, I'm about to go into a little bit of a spoiler territory, so if you don't want to hear any spoilers, then just skip ahead. I won't talk about it too much, just a fair warning. By collecting more remnants and sigils, Sarah soon learns that there were once 13 witches. 12 of them were burned on the hospital grounds. The 13th witch was released because she turned the others in. By the end of her frightening journey, Sarah realizes that the 13th witch was actually one of her ancestors, which is why the remaining 12 are haunting her. This game can be perceived as a generic survival horror game with a typical setting, and in many ways it is. But the enemies in this game is what sets it apart for me. Again, I feel like witches are sadly underused. Survival horror games typically feature serial killers, ghosts, or dare I even say it, but zombies. It's nice to see witch folklore featured so predominantly in this game. The settings can be considered cliche, but one aspect that I did really appreciate was the variety of setting locales. For example, Outlast took place in a mental hospital. The first Slender was set in the woods. Daylight takes place in a mental hospital, a prison, the woods, a cave, an old office building filled with colonial architecture, and more. The variety was very well placed. The developers made the game feel much bigger than it really is. This can be credited to being structured properly. It almost feels like you're playing a game that takes the best of all the latest survival horror titles and just wraps them all up in one badass game. Daylight uses some pretty good scare tactics. The game delivers the typical screamer when a witch or shadow person is nearby. Now, I'm not a big fan of screamers personally. I feel like they are overused and not executed properly for the most part. But I've got to admit, the screams in this game get me every time. Come on, looking for those notes, please. No, pig kill! There are typically two types of scares you can get from screamers. Allow me to elaborate. There is the obvious unassuming loud scare out of nowhere where you experience the initial scream, but the effect is short-lived. It just becomes repetitive and no longer frightening. The second type is when you witness the initial jump scare and the fear of anticipation begins to set in. If it was truly a horrifying scare, then you typically wouldn't want to experience it again. In Daylight, once you hear the sound of static and see your phone glitching with these strange markings, that means one of the witches is nearby. You're definitely not going to want to feel that terror again. Daylight received mixed reviews upon its release, and I can see why. I typically try to stay positive for the most part, but there are certain aspects of this game that just can't be ignored. My main complaint is the game's controls. For a game where running is a must, you'd think the controls would be a little tighter. Not just that, but this game features very small corridors. And I get it, it's supposed to. The tight quarters definitely adds to the creepiness, but these already small hallways are filled with a ton of unnecessary shit. I understand the levels need filler, but it's too easy to get hung up on some desk or chair. It can get frustrating when you're trying to run for your life and constantly get caught up on some object. Don't get me wrong, I like a challenging game, but that's not a challenge. That is a flaw. Other than that and the repetitive objects, I guess I really don't have any more nitpicks. They're just frustrating ones. One thing in the game's favor that really won me over was the interactive live stream. When I streamed the game on Twitch, my viewers were able to actually interact with my gameplay. In the chat section, there were a couple of different options the viewers could choose from, such as footsteps, whispers, and even screams. I had a lot of fun with this, and it seemed like a lot of you did too. It was an awesome addition that I hope more horror games will eventually support. Live streams are already interactive in the fact that I can chat with my viewers while playing, but when you can actually interfere with my gameplay, that officially takes gaming to a new level. Oh yeah, pun intended. Overall, Daylight is a very well done, fun, innovative, creepy gaming experience. The settings were great, the atmosphere was chilling, the enemies really freaked me out and legitimately made me jump on a number of occasions. No, I don't feel it. Ah! Ooh, what the fuck, what the fuck, what the fuck, what the fuck, what the fuck? Can't you see the darkness surrounding you? Whoa! I'm just running. Oh my god, this is a nightmare. Maybe I just didn't have my hopes up, but I really enjoyed this game and strongly suggest it to any survival horror fan. Because of the game's interactive features, randomly generated level layouts, the creepy history, and the nightmare-inducing witches, I think it's a safe bet to say that Daylight will go down as a pioneer in creepy gaming history. I want to thank you all so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed. Hi, I'm Mullet Mike with the on full screen saying, keep stay creepy. Thanks for watching!
Have you ever caught a glimpse of Wonderland through the mirror? Just to find you can't walk through glass. Try to touch it, and you realize it's only the surface of a cold, hard untruth. There does come a time when boredom sets in, and when boredom sets in, one tends to find themselves in dangerous positions when least expected. A lesson will be learned.
Damn. Alright, I think this thing's on. Are we on? Is this thing on? I think we're ready. Alright, here we go. Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, children of all ages, freaks and geeks, trolls and derps alike, welcome all. I am Mullet Mike with the Paddle Gaming Network and Full Screen, bringing you creepy gaming. So I just got this strange game in the mail called Survival Horror. So I figure we're going to go ahead and try it out. What's the worst that could possibly happen?
Is that a tube TV?
Backseat gamers every time. Can I help you?
Absolutely not. The other one is gonna need a fucking help. All you can get. Grab. Grab. Never played it. Grab. It's amazing the things that a man will get himself into.
Yes, it is.
I'll tell you one more thing. I think your cat had an accident.
I don't even own a cat.
Fascinating.
What do you want?
I want you to go in there.
Oh, no. I've opened that door once. That was one too many times.
You're in a world of shit, boy. I insist.
Fuck this.
I'm gonna head back. Play some ET on Atari. Laters. Time to wake up.
Gotta quit drinking.
Is that my tube TV? Orientation.
Hello and welcome to Maze Orientation 101. Sir or ma'am, here are your tasks. 1. Gather your gear. 2. Face your fear. 3. Will come when the fun is done. 4. Will follow near. Completing these tasks will not ensure your safety nor provide you with a safe, accessible exit. Here is a happy image. Feel better? I'm glad. We have reached the conclusion of dealing with the maze. I do wish you good luck. And fuck you.
What an asshole.
batteries? This is stupid! This is the stupidest thing ever. Great. No, batteries, wonderful. Why not? Sure, survival horror. I get it. I get it. Stupid. It's just stupid. Dick. Is that a doll?
Face your fears, boy, my player.
I hate dolls.
You're gonna need it, I promise. Oh man, what the hell are you doing? That doesn't belong to you. You two look good together. Cute couple.
There. That's better. Creepy. Still creepy, but better.
Better move your ass. Task number 310 your direction as we speak.
So happy to see you right now. Yes, happy. Oh, I thought I was the only one out here. Begin to tell you how happy I am to see you. Do you happen to know where there's an exit around here somewhere? Maybe can you point me like in a basic general vicinity maybe?
nightmare, I'm afraid. Looks like you're having a good time, though. Well, I can assure you it's gonna get a hell of a lot worse, Mullet Mike. How you like this shit?
Fuck you.
Are we having fun yet? Let me tell you why you're here. You don't even know, do you? Just beneath the glassy, fractured surface of a brutalized and broken mind lingers inherent evil.
Oh, God! Son of a bitch! I swear to God, if I ever get out of this fucking chair, I'm gonna kill you!
Seeping up from the cracks, violating the soft and warm natures of your tender, uncorrupted innocence. And one by one, leading them astray, as if they were baby lambs being led to a fucking slaughter. And with one last gentle yet generous act of oh sweet violence, it stuffs them out, shuffling their fucking asses off this mortal coil. You should know by now. Every good game needs a boss battle. Where's my big stick? Game over.
Let's choose to continue.
Brigitte Nelson. I'm back. I'm back. I'm back. I'm back. Oh, I'm back. Oh, Bill. I never thought I'd see you again, Bill. Oh, Linksy, Kiki. Oh, I'm so happy that you're here, Linksy. Oh, Luigi. Buddy. Oh, I'm so sorry for throwing you down, Luigi. I don't ever want to quit creepy gaming. I'm going to make one right now. I'm going to make creepy gaming right now. I know exactly what I'm about to do.
Have you ever caught a glimpse of Wonderland through the mirror? Justified you can't walk through glass. Try to touch it, and you realize it's only the surface of a cold, hard untruth.
gentlemen, boys and girls, children of all ages, freaks and geeks, trolls and derps alike, welcome! Welcome all. I am Mullet Mike, bringing you Creepy Gaming. As you may have noticed, I got this sweet new part-time job here. Figured since the holidays were here and all, as well as the new baby, might as well work this sweet little security gig I found. It's awesome! All I gotta do is just sit here from midnight to 6 a.m., play a few games, read a few comics, get all the pizza and cake I want. It's amazing. Cupcake, anyone? Cupcake? 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 It's a great job! I can tell this company really cares about its employees. All they ask me to do is just simply make sure all the party hats and cups and stuff are in order and occasionally check the security cameras on my tablet here. Oh, speaking of which, I should probably check them out right now. This place apparently has cameras set up everywhere. Hey, is that my gaming room? Yeah. Check. Check. So far, so good. Everything looks good. All clear. Such an easy job. What's the worst that could possibly happen? Okay, so I'm expecting a phone call, some career orientation thing, I don't know. Either way, enjoy this episode of Creepy Gaming that I prepared for you guys. I don't know, five nights at Eddie's or something like that, I don't know. Special shout out to all these fine folks right here. I want to thank you all so much for your support. Because of you, Five Nights at Freddy's has become the most highly requested episode to date. Thank you, shout out to Aiden, Branton, Susie, and family. Enjoy those Creepy Gaming shirts. Special shout out to Justin Grimes. Enjoy this episode. As a matter of fact, I hope you all enjoy this episode, the Season 4 finale of Creepy Gaming, and I figured, what better way to finish it out? So, without any further ado, turn the lights down and the volume up as we journey into some creepy gaming. Every so often, a video game comes around and revolutionizes a genre, and at times changes the video game industry entirely. The game in which I am referring to is none other than Five Nights at Freddy's. Five Nights at Freddy's is a horror game developed by indie developer Scott Cawthon. This PC title has been critically acclaimed by both reviewers and players alike. I won't bury the lead. This is definitely one of the more original horror titles that I have played in years. You play as a character named Mike Schmidt, a new employee of Freddy Fazbear's Pizza. Which is basically a parody of Chuck E. Cheese-like restaurants. But if you're a real OG, then you'll know that Freddy Fazbear is really based off of Billy Bob from Showbiz Pizza Place, which was eventually bought out by Chuck E. Cheese in the early 90s. I mean, come on, you cannot deny those similarities. If I may take a moment to explain, I briefly remember Showbiz as a kid before it was changed to Chuck E.'s. I loved the pizza, I loved the games, I loved it all except for that stage show. I mean, come on! What is it about a 7-foot-tall animatronic character that looks like he wants to feast off of your soul that just screams, "Hey, we're kid-friendly"? Well, hell, since we're all just enjoying a nice, tall, cool, refreshing glass of ruined childhood, we might as well talk about the game. You begin in the security room. Now get used to this screen, because besides the cameras, this is all you will see for the entire game. I think it's safe to say that this initially took players by surprise. You see, within the last few years, most survival horror games tend to blend together because they rely too heavily on similar scenarios. So not being able to move around surprised some players. Typically in survival horror games, you're equipped with nothing but a flashlight, running through either the woods or small corridors trying to escape from some ominous being. Sprinkle in a few jump scares and you have yourself a modern, cliched survival horror game. And that's okay. The reason this formula is used over and over again is because it is so effective. I continue to play games like this because they still scare me, for the most part. That being said, it's nice to see a modern horror title think outside of the box and shake things up a bit. Not just that, but the Five Nights at Freddy's formula actually simplifies things and proves, in this case, that less really is more. Once you come to terms with the fact that you can't move, both the plot and tone are set perfectly when you hear your orientation message.
Settled in on your first night. I actually worked in that office before you. I'm finishing up my last week now, as a matter of fact, so I know it can be a bit overwhelming, but I'm here to tell you there's nothing to worry about. You'll be fine. So let's just focus on getting you through your first week, okay? Let's see. First, there's an introductory greeting from the company that I'm supposed to read. It's kind of a legal thing, you know. Welcome to Freddy Fazbear's Pizza, a magical place for kids and grown-ups alike, where fantasy and fun come to life. Fazbear Entertainment is not responsible for damage to property or person. Upon discovering that damage or death have occurred, a missing person will be filed within 90 days or as soon as property and premises have been thoroughly cleaned, bleached, and the carpets have been replaced. Blah, blah, blah. Now, that might sound bad, I know, but there's really nothing to worry about. The animatronic characters here do get a bit quirky at night, but do I blame them? No. If I were forced to sing those same stupid songs for 20 years and I never got a bath, I'd probably be a bit irritable at night too. So remember, these characters hold a special place in the hearts of children, and we need to show them a little respect, right? Okay. So just be aware, the characters do tend to wander a bit. They're left in some kind of free roaming mode at night. Something about their servos locking up and they get turned off for too long. They used to be allowed to walk around during the day too. But then there was the bite of 87. Yeah. 87. It's amazing that the human body can live without the frontal lobe.
Oh God.
Now concerning your safety, the only real risk to you and the night watchman here, if any, is the fact that these characters, if they happen to see you after hours, probably won't recognize you as a person. They'll most likely see you as a little individual without its
This can't be good. No. Enough of that.
What?
Now, that wouldn't be so bad if the suits themselves weren't filled with cross beams, wired, animatronic devices, especially around the
Great! Wonderful!
You can imagine having your head forcibly pressed inside one of those could cause a bit of
Yeah, I get it.
and death.
Death.
The only parts of you that would likely see the light of day again would be your eyeballs and teeth pop up in front of the mask here.
Huh.
Yeah, they don't tell you these things when you sign up. But hey, First Nation agrees. I'll chat with you tomorrow. Check those cameras and remember to close the doors only if absolutely necessary. Gotta conserve power. Alright, good night.
Good night. Again, the opening phone call sets the tone perfectly by having a frightening yet comedic setting. A combination that some might not feel work well together, but others beg to differ. Much like horror, comedy is very subjective, to say the absolute least. So it really just depends on what you like. Personally, I like a few laughs sprinkled into my scares, but hey, that's just me. And Five Nights at Freddy's delivers just that. So if you haven't guessed by now, the title Five Nights at Freddy's is in reference to the fact that you must survive, well, 5 nights at Freddy's. This game has a disturbingly fascinating backstory. There have been many thoughts, theories, and speculations as to what truly happened. I will elaborate on it later, but just so you have an idea, there were a few misfortunate incidents in the restaurant. For example, there is one horrendous backstory involving 5 children that went missing. But the one I would like to focus on right now was known as the Bite of 87. As forementioned by the phone guy, in 1987, one of the animatronics turned on a customer, literally biting their face off, causing the worst kind of publicity for Freddy Fazbear's Pizza. Now, years later, the diner gets a grand reopening, and unfortunately, you are the one who has to find out exactly how bad of an idea it was. The game is basically, for a lack of a better term, a point-and-click adventure, although that doesn't really do it justice. Five Nights at Freddy's is a very original game. I guess the only other title that I could think of to compare it to would be 1992's Night Trap for the Sega CD. Similar, but Five Nights at Freddy's ultimately brings something new to the table. Rather than one, here you must survive 5 terrifying nights. Each evening has its own pace and signature events. Night 1 really just kind of lets you know what you're in for. While switching cameras, you soon learn where Freddy and friends' stationary positions are. As soon as you start to figure it out, they begin to move. What was once a still, silent party room quickly fills with the silhouette of a malevolent animatronic. Switching through the security footage can be quite eerie just by itself. The survival aspect comes in with electricity. In this game, your power source is your best friend and only means of protection against Freddy and company. I should note, everything in this game uses power. You have 2 steel doors to the left and right of you. Every time they are opened, it uses power. If you switch the cameras, it uses power. If you keep the hallway lights on, guess what? It uses power. It can't help that you have the fan on at all times. But again, this is a perfect example of the game's quirky sense of humor. One of the most memorable aspects of the games are the animatronic characters themselves. Of course, there's our lead, Freddy Fazbear. In addition, there's Bonnie the Bunny, Chica the Chicken, and of course, Foxy the Pirate. There's even a character in the game's files known as Yellow Bear, often referred to as Golden Freddy, but more on that later. These twisted characters have already become iconic in and of themselves. These seemingly kid-friendly animatronics evoke a primal fear that is buried deep in most of our subconscious. Because of their somewhat disturbing features, these characters have already become iconic and will continue to hold a place in creepy gaming history. Once you make it to Night 2, the action begins to pick up. The animatronics tend to move more sporadically, and we are introduced to Foxy the Pirate, although on a few occasions he can rarely be seen on Night 1. Up to this point, you won't actually see Freddy and friends move, but while changing the cameras, you will notice that they are standing in different places. With Foxy, it's a completely different story. When compared to the otherwise stagnant characters, this hyped-up pirate delivers what is considered by many as the best jump scare of the game. Okay, got made at 6 a.m. Gotta check Pirate's Cove. Oh no, where's Foxy? Oh no, 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 no! Damn it! Now, if you can't already tell, the game's best scares are built from anticipation. It's a classic example of nothing to fear except fear itself. The fear of knowing something is about to happen can be actually more terrifying than the jump scares themselves. The tension one feels while playing Five Nights at Freddy's is, in my opinion, the game's strong suit. This title keeps you busy switching between cameras, keeping doors open, all while maintaining your power supply. It was designed to get your adrenaline rushing, your blood pumping, and your heart racing. Because of the game's nervous tension, I commend Scott Cawthon's contribution to the survival horror genre. Kudos to you, good sir. As forementioned, the nights gradually grow more tense, the animatronics become more active, and the game's overall difficulty intensifies. There's even a setting once you beat the game where you can adjust each of the individual characters' difficulty. Alright, I'm about to go over the ending to Five Nights at Freddy's, so if you haven't beaten the game yet or don't want to see the ending, then consider this your official spoiler alert. When Night 5 begins, we are greeted with another phone call. But rather being the mild-mannered voice we've grown accustomed to, instead we hear these strange, distorted voices. As stated before, the animatronics are now much more active and your energy can drain much faster. You complete the game by surviving all 5 nights. Unfortunately, the ending of the game is rather anticlimactic. But that's okay because it's very fitting with the game's twisted sense of humor. You receive your week's pay of $120, a pat on the back, and a good job sport.
Great.
That's pretty much it.
Wait a minute. Night 6? That's just ironic, really.
Okay, so fine. Night 6. Whatever. 6 nights at Freddy's, I guess. I don't know. Night 6 plays more or less like what it is, an additional bonus stage. Nothing much new, really. You will not be greeted with a phone call like previous nights, and it is said that the animatronics will be much more dangerous. Other than that, when you survive the night, you receive another check. This time saying, you've earned overtime. And guess what? You get an extra 50 cents and officially awarded as Employee of the Month.
Damn straight.
It is then you unlock Custom Night 7 and so forth. Overall, Five Nights at Freddy's is a great game. It's original, unique, and has its own signature style. The controls are tight, and the game overall plays really well. Five Nights at Freddy's has made a huge impact on the gaming community, and the number of downloads have been growing every day. I can't ever remember a horror game having this much buzz around it. The closest I can think of would be either Amnesia, Slender, or maybe even Silent Hill's PT, but somehow those titles don't even compare.
There it is! Regardless of whether or not you found the animatronic characters scary or merely laughable, you cannot deny the impact that Five Nights at Freddy's has had on the creepy community. Well, this is it. This is my final night. I guess I made it. Now, if you don't mind, I'll be collecting my check and getting out of here. Oh, no.
Hello? Yeah, hey, it's me again. I didn't know if anyone else told you or not, so I figured I'd be the bearer of bad news, but, there's a follow-up game. Yeah, there's, Five Nights at Freddy's too. Boy, I sure hope somebody's told you already. This would be a very unfortunate time to find out. Probably really inconvenient. Well, gotta go. Happy holidays.
I'm just trying to get back home to my family for the holidays. How could this get any worse?
So apparently there's a Five Nights at Freddy's 2.
Hello? Well, if you're hearing this, then chances are you've made a very poor career choice.
Five Nights at Freddy's 2 was released in November 2014 and was the follow-up to the sleeper hit Five Nights at Freddy's. Once again created and developed by Scott Cawthon, this title has quenched many players' thirst for more. The game uses many of the same great features from the first while adding new elements and ultimately delivering a unique twist. The basic point-and-click gameplay returns and is very responsive for the most part. The aptly dubbed Phone Guy is in the game as well, once again giving you all the exhibition you need, and of course, Freddy and friends bring more terror to the table, as well as more cupcakes. You now play as a different security guard named Jeremy Fitzgerald. One of the first differences that you'll notice is, are you ready? Are you ready for this? Get this. No doors. That's right, the single bit of security that you felt in the first game has now been stripped away. There's no way to cover the vents to the right and left of you, and now standing before you lies a wide open corridor, essentially making you a sitting duck. The tension and fear of the first Five Nights at Freddy's definitely returns tenfold in this much anticipated follow-up. Instead of having the doors for protection, you are now given a Freddy mask in hopes of confusing the animatronics. In addition, a personal flashlight replaces the electricity power source from the first game, now giving you the more conventional battery. This overall just makes more sense and makes for some really good scares. Freddy's 2 takes place in the new and improved Freddy Fazbear's Pizza. There are now more rooms to survey as well as objectives to maintain. Another new addition that might startle players are the segue scenes when you either die or complete a night. Upon completion of a night, you witness a short scene from the animatronic's perspective. There's a lot of speculation as to what these scenes mean, but the segue scenes I'd like to focus on are known as the death minigames. When killed by an animatronic, players may experience one of these disturbing minigames. As far as I know, there are 4 of them. There's Save Them, Give Gifts, Give Life, Taking the Cake to Children, and even a Foxy minigame. This is one of my favorite new aspects of Five Nights at Freddy's 2. The visuals of the minigames have been programmed in the tradition of classic Atari 2600 graphics, and definitely tread into creepypasta territory. So, naturally I like it. But more on these minigames later. Besides the open hallway, extra rooms, and terrifying segue scenes, you now have the addition of one of the game's most frustrating mechanics, the music box. For those unfamiliar, the music box can be found in the prize corner of Cam 11. Keeping the music box wound up keeps one of the game's new animatronics at bay, the puppet. This disturbing marionette has blank eyes, a white face, and makeup that resembles that of a clown or mime. So if you don't want this guy haunting your dreams, then make sure to do your best and tend to that music box, won't you? The addition of the puppet has definitely added more to the Five Nights at Freddy's lore. This little guy's appearance has opened up the floodgates for more theories and speculation. Who is he, and what is his objective? While I'm on the subject of the puppet, let's discuss all the new animatronics. In addition to Freddy, Chica, Bonnie, and Foxy, a new cast of characters make their introduction. You'll meet the likes of the Puppet, Mangle, as well as toy versions of the original characters. You can see Toy Freddy, Toy Chica, and Toy Bonnie as early as Night 1. Oh, and let's not forget everyone's new favorite, Balloon Boy. On night 2, you'll have the pleasure of meeting this little guy. If you are familiar with the series lore, then you probably have heard about the 5 missing children as mentioned in the first game. Some players believe that Balloon Boy may be haunted by one of those kids' spirits. Others say the spirits inhabited the original 5 animatronics, but who knows? Just hearing one of Balloon Boy's unassuming highs or hellos is enough to creep you out. There's just something about those eyes. It's like he's staring directly into my ruined childhood. At times, Balloon Boy can be seen peeking at you from underneath the table. Upon closer inspection, though, you may notice that the animatronic's eyes are a different color. Is this really Balloon Boy, or a completely different animatronic altogether? Another attraction that comes out on night 2 is Mangle, or sometimes referred to as the Mangle. Hands down, one of the creepiest animatronics in my opinion. I thought Foxy was bad enough, but this mangled version made me shackle my pantaloons. It doesn't help that it attacks from the ceiling, making the Mangle that much more imposing.
Great! Wonderful! Brilliant! Fan-fucking-tastic!
That's right, the original 4 Faces of Evil are back, making their nightly rounds and making you their bitch. On night 4, the toy versions tend to be less active, as the original animatronics become more predominant. You also get a pretty disturbing message from the phone guy.
Oh, hello. Hey there, night 4. I told you to get the hang of it. Okay, so just to update you, there's been somewhat of an investigation going on. We may end up having to close for a few days. I don't know. I want to emphasize, though, that it's really just a precaution. Fazbear Entertainment denies any wrongdoing. These things happen sometimes. It'll all get sorted out in a few days. Just keep an eye on things, and I'll keep you posted. Just as a side note, though, try to avoid eye contact with any of the animatronics tonight if you can. Someone may have tampered with their facial recognition systems. We're not sure. But the characters have been acting very unusual, almost aggressive toward the staff. They interact with the kids just fine, but when they encounter an adult, they just stare. Anyway, hang tight, it'll all pass. Good night.
What did the phone guy mean by just stare? Wait, screw that. Did he say something about an investigation? Unfortunately, the bad news only gets worse, I'm afraid, when we hear phone guy's message on the 5th night.
Oh, hey, good job, night 5. Hey, keep a close eye on things tonight, okay? From what I understand, the building is on lockdown. No one is allowed in or out, you know, especially concerning any previous employees. When we get it all sorted out, we may move you to the day shift. A position just became available. We don't have a replacement for your shift yet, but we're working on it. We're going to try to contact the original restaurant owner. I think the name of the place was Fredbear's Family Diner or something like that. It was closed for years, though. I doubt we'll be able to track anybody down. So just get through one more night. Hang in there. Good night.
Night 5, all bets are off. Any and every animatronic is out for blood. Many people consider the first 5 nights at Freddy's difficult. But this is ridiculous. I've never been one to torture myself with the 420 Custom Night 7 in the first game, so this came as a surprise to me. I knew it'd be hard. Hell, it should be hard. But this was one of the most tense, unnerving, panic-inducing video game experiences of my life. The rush, fear, and frustration one feels while playing 5 Nights at Freddy's 2 is that of legend. Throughout all the crazy emotions and horrifying thrills, basically put, the game does its job. Okay, just like last time, I'm about to go over the end of the game. If you haven't played it yet or don't want to see the ending, then consider this your spoiler alert. Upon completion of the 5th night, you once again receive your paycheck from Fazbear Entertainment, when all of a sudden... Wait a minute. 1987? That means... Oh no. No, it can't be true. That's right. 5 Nights at Freddy's 2 is, in fact, a prequel. It retells the events surrounding the bite of '87. This unique twist came as a surprise to many players. Throughout the game, there are several references, but you probably wouldn't notice if you weren't looking for them. For example, on the first night, Phone Guy states that the animatronics are allowed to roam freely during the day. Whereas in the first game, Phone Guy admits that the characters could walk around during the day, but no longer were allowed to due to previous events. Further indication that Five Nights at Freddy's 2 really is a prequel. Wait. Before you stop me, let me guess. There's a Night 6, isn't there? Yep. Of course there is. Wait. Let me guess. There's a custom 7th night, too, isn't there? I knew it. All right, let's do this.
Hello. What on earth are you doing there? Didn't you get the memo? The place is closed down, at least for a while. Someone used one of the suits. We had a spare in the back, a yellow one. Someone used it. Now none of them are acting right. Listen, just finish your shift. It's safer than trying to leave in the middle of the night. We have one more event scheduled for tomorrow, a birthday. You'll be on day shift. Wear your uniform. Stay close to the animatronics and make sure they don't hurt anyone, okay? For now, just make it through the night. When the place eventually opens again, I'll probably take the night shift myself. Okay, good night and good luck.
So you guessed it, Night 6 is just as difficult, if not more difficult, because rather than just the normal cast of characters, you will now witness the infamous Golden Freddy. Phone Guy mentions someone using the yellow suit. Well, in the first Five Nights at Freddy's game files, he was known simply as Yellow Bear. It wasn't until the gaming community started referring to him as Golden Freddy that the name eventually stuck. Hell, even the custom Night 7 screen calls him Golden Freddy now. Which brings me to the final night. Night 7 is exactly what you would expect. It's a custom night, but instead of the 420 mode like the first, there is now, get this, a 1020 mode. No, thank you, I value my sanity more than that. You may notice that there is not an option for the puppet. Interesting. But this is probably because he moves according to the music box, so just keep that sucker wound up. If you manage to survive the 7th night, you will be treated to this hilarious game over screen. Apparently, Jeremy smartened up and left. You are now playing as Fritz Smith. Not just that, but you've also been fired. It seems for reasons such as bad body odor as well as, and I quote, tampering with the animatronics. Ew. Five Nights at Freddy's 2 gave players exactly what they wanted, as well as a few things they didn't. Scott Cawthon delivered an A+ sequel, and I'll even go on record to say that it is superior to the first. Sure, it doesn't have the same shock value as the original, but that's to be expected. Overall, it's a really clever game. Even though there are plenty of jump scares, the game doesn't rely strictly on these jump scares as much as it does on its psychological horror. And to me, that's what makes it stand out. Either way, regardless of whether or not you agree with my feelings toward the game, you cannot deny the impact that Freddy and his friends have had on the gaming world. Again. For the second time. Which was really the first because it was a prequel. Besides, we all know there's gonna be a third Five Nights at Freddy's.
Well, what do you know? Prequel. Who would have thunk it? Alright, well, I gotta get out of here, so I'm about to... Fuck me!
Hello? Yeah, hey, it's me again. I just wanted to remind you that, both of the games actually have a lot of theories, Easter eggs, and, secret meanings. And, I do mean a lot of them. You said in your first week on the job that you'd cover those. So, yeah, if you could do that, that'd be great. We had to dock some of your pay. We, caught you sleeping on the job several times. And I'm pretty sure playing Dragon Age can't be considered as, general job duties. So we had to dock your pay in half. We need you to do a little overtime for us, if you don't mind. I would really help us out a lot. You know, we're really, really busy this time of year. Hello? Hello?
That's enough out of here! It's ridiculous. That'll have to do. Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, children of all ages, freaks and geeks, to rolls and derps alike, welcome all. I am Mullet Mike with the Paddle Gaming Network and Full Screen, bringing you Creepy Gaming. This is what you've all been waiting for. This is the final part of the Season 4 finale of Creepy Gaming. Today, we will be talking about Easter eggs and theories from both Five Nights at Freddy's and Five Nights at Freddy's 2. Alright, no need to wait, no need to hesitate, let's just dig right into it. Let's do this! Vámonos al mambo! Turn the lights down and the volume up as we journey into some creepy gaming.
Five Nights at Freddy's and its follow-up, Five Nights at Freddy's 2, have grown to cult-like status since the games were released. Part of this could be credited to the colorful animatronic characters, or the game's twisted tone, or perhaps the sense of humor, but personally I feel like a lot of the game's success is due to the Five Nights at Freddy's lore. These titles have been riddled with secrets, Easter eggs, theories, and speculation. It appears that this seemingly one-dimensional franchise has more depth to it than some people realize. This is a list of my favorite creepy Easter eggs and the most intriguing theories from the first two Five Nights at Freddy's. This animatronic has been the center of debate and speculation. Keeping the appearance of Freddy Fazbear, this supernatural golden version was featured in both Five Nights at Freddy's and its follow-up. The most popular theory seems to be that Golden Freddy is actually a hallucination seen by Mike Schmidt and other employees. There is plenty of proof to back up this claim. For example, the animatronics tend to follow the laws of physics, whereas Golden Freddy does not. What I mean by this is typically if an animatronic enters the office, you will be able to see them in the monitors in the back. If a door's closed, then the animatronic cannot enter. These rules do not apply to Golden Freddy. You will not see him in the monitors, and he will enter regardless whether or not the doors are open. When Golden Freddy appears in front of you, the words "It's me" can be seen flashing on the screen, sometimes resulting in the game crashing. In the first game, a Freddy Fazbear poster can be seen on Cam 2B. On occasion, the poster will change, either into an image of Golden Freddy or what appears to be Freddy tearing his own head off. Once you see the poster change, Golden Freddy will soon appear. In Five Nights 2, the haunted animatronic returns, although you won't see him until Night 6. One thing that came to my attention, and I've noticed no one is really talking about, is the fact that Golden Freddy looks completely different in the second game. You'll notice here that his ear is missing. If this game is in fact a prequel, is this the same Golden Freddy suit from the first game? On Night 6 of Five Nights at Freddy's 2, the phone guy declares that the suit went missing.
Someone used one of the suits. We had a spare in the back, a yellow one. Someone used it.
Who is ultimately behind Golden Freddy? And what is his purpose? What exactly does Golden Freddy represent? In the first game on Cam 4B, you will see the Safety Rules poster. Much like the Golden Freddy image, the poster from the East Hall corner will randomly change into one of these 4 newspaper articles. These 4 newspaper clippings depict the game's dark backstory. The news articles reference the killer as dressed as a company mascot. Many people believe this to be the missing Golden Freddy suit. Five Nights at Freddy's 2 featured some very intriguing segue scenes. The death minigames added another layer of terror to the already expanding lore. In the game Save Them, you play as Freddy walking around Fazbear Pizza. Right off the bat, you will see a sprite that resembles the notorious Puppet. You can either follow the mysterious figure or freely explore the restaurant. As you walk around, you will hear these strange sounds, very reminiscent of Atari 2600 audio, as well as the visuals. Upon exploring the restaurant, you may recognize a few familiar places, as well as the Puppet, dead bodies, and even Golden Freddy. All of the latter end in the same way, by the screen cutting to red static, followed by a jump scare. On rare occasions, a purple figure will appear on screen following Freddy, eventually catching up with him. This sprite has since been dubbed the Purple Man. Upon contact, instead of red, you will now get blue static, followed by the words, "You can't." Because of the Purple Man's actions in the minigame Take Cake to the Children, many players believe the figure to be the killer of the missing kids. Outside the restaurant, you will see a car pull up. Out comes the Purple Man. He approaches the crying child outside. The child turns gray as the tears remain. Many people theorize that the purple guy killed the crying child outside and that the tears are very reminiscent of the puppets. Could this child be the spirit of the disturbing marionette? In the Foxy minigame, you will leave Pirate Cove, celebrate with 5 kids, and then repeat. Upon the 3rd run through, the Purple Man can be seen in the corner, smiling. When you approach the kids, they appear dead. Going back to the puppet for a second, in the game Give Gifts, Give Life, you play as said character. At first the screen says Give Gifts, in which you must go to what appears to be 4 dead children. Once you come into contact with all the children, the screen will then say Give Life. Now you must give each child an animatronic mask, followed by a Golden Freddy jump scare. Many theorists believe this to be the 5 missing children. 4 of them inhabited the original animatronics, while the 5th possibly inhabited Golden Freddy. Some feel that the puppet was the spirit of the crying child who brought life to the other murdered children by allowing them to live on in the animatronics. While being a strong theory, I have one of my own. Perhaps the puppet was the killer, or at least the killer in disguise. The newspaper article says that the killer was dressed as a company mascot. It never says anything about Golden Freddy. I think most people just assume that it is. Phone Guy says that someone took a yellow suit, but that could very well be unrelated to this particular act. Just from the minigame Take Cake to the Children, we learn that the 5 missing kids wasn't an isolated incident. It appears that the killer has murdered many more than just the reported 5. The article also states that the animatronics began to smell, indicating that the killer could have possibly stuffed their dead bodies into the animatronics, or at least the animatronic costumes. Could this be the killer living out those very deeds? One of the more argued theories out there is who exactly the killer is. Some say Mike Schmidt was the killer. Some players say that it was the Phone Guy, while yet others feel that it is some character not yet featured. Let's look at some of the arguments. Before the second game's release, many people believed that you were really the killer all along. This might explain why you were haunted by animatronics of the missing children, as well as the hallucinations of Golden Freddy, and let's not forget his trademark saying, "It's me," possibly referring to the fact that you are indeed the killer. When the second game came out and players had a chance to play the death minigames, the theory sprung up that the Phone Guy was the killer. Alright, follow me on this one. Let's just say that the Purple Man really does signify the killer. Many theorists believe that because of this sprite that the Phone Guy was indeed the murderer. The Purple Man can be seen with either some type of weapon or what many gamers believe to be a phone. Plus, the badge that he wears may be indication that he is in fact an employee of Fazbear Entertainment. Phone Guy's calls also feature many subtle clues to further prove this theory, such as Foxy being his favorite. The Purple Man can be seen smiling in the Foxy minigame. Players were surprised when they noticed this weird little guy staring back at them. Some players believe that the cupcake is how the animatronics can see you, almost like their own surveillance device. Toy Chica can also be seen carrying a similar cupcake in Five Nights at Freddy's 2. What's its purpose? Many gamers, myself included, feel that it appears too random not to have some sort of meaning, important or not. Does this creepy cupcake serve a deeper purpose? Or are we just looking into this one too much? The Bite of 87 was an unfortunate event that happened in the game's backstory and was first alluded to in the original Five Nights at Freddy's. According to the story, one of the animatronics actually bit off a customer's frontal lobe. But which animatronic? One of the more popular theories is that Foxy is the culprit, seeing as his jaw is believed to be broken. Upon further inspection, you may notice that when Foxy first enters the room, his jaw is, in fact, closed. Other suspects include that of Freddy Fazbear himself, as well as the Mangle, considering how she attacks from above. The incident damaged the restaurant's public perception. The animatronics now had to roam around freely at night since they weren't allowed to during the day, leaving every employee of Fazbear Entertainment on edge. Either way, the infamous bite has been a central plot point, getting a lot of attention. I personally feel like we have yet to hear the full story of the Bite of 87. Perhaps more information will come to light in a future installment. These were just a few of the main Five Nights at Freddy's theories that have currently been spread around, and I feel like this is merely the tip of the proverbial iceberg. New scenarios and possibilities have been springing up on a daily basis. Anytime a game's lore exceeds the game itself and inspires others, then it officially surpasses the media in which it was released. I have and will continue to give the series high praise. Some may call the games overrated, but I say any title that generates the buzz like these games have is obviously doing something right. Before I wrap up, allow me to give you the greatest Five Nights at Freddy's theory of them all. Scott Cawthon developed an original title in hopes that it would catch on with the gaming community. Once seeing the success of the first game and realizing how much players have been reading into it, then he decided to go all out with Five Nights 2. Rather than just throwing random objects and dates out there, it seems Scott gave us enough clues without having to spell everything out. And that's just my personal theory. The Five Nights at Freddy's series gives players plenty of room to speculate and theorize.
Between the disturbing kid-orientated animatronics, the panic one feels while playing the game, as well as the countless theories, Five Nights at Freddy's will forever go down in creepy gaming history. I guess that does it for Season 4 of Creepy Gaming. It's been a fun ride. It's been an interesting year, to say the least. I want to sincerely thank each and every one of you for watching and supporting. It's very much appreciated. Well, I don't guess I really got much more to say. Enjoy your time with your friends and family. I hope you enjoyed the show. I want to thank all my staff members. Wouldn't have been able to do it this season without you guys. But other than that, I gotta go get a belt back. So I'll see y'all next season. Peace.
I